'Tis the 10th of the 8th, 2024. The time is 8:32, and in the weird and wacky world of F1 news cycle, there is news on Adrian Newey yet again. And for this one, we're going to have to set the table. Adrian Newey has not long left, and there is rumour to be an announcement that he is joining one of Aston Martin, McLaren, or still potentially Ferrari. However, if F1 word on the curb is something that you're invested in, Ferrari isn't going to happen. They have forbid him the power of veto. Indeed, Adrian Newey, being one of the goatiest F1 minds to have ever goated, demands that he can elect and choose, hire and fire his own engineers. Ferrari said, we want none of that. We have our own infrastructure and team and aerodynamicists in place already, and we cannot bend the knee to Adrian Newey, even if that fella is the aerodynamic goat. They are not having it. McLaren potentially still in the running. You remember that Eddie Jordan potentially dropped a Freudian slip saying that Zach Brown, once they get their new contract from him, then Adrian Newey can get himself a proper bike, a new one. Again, was that brinksmanship? Was that Eddie Jordaning potentially? Or was that indeed Eddie Jordan opening his mouth, overstepping the line, revealing one detail, one crumb too far? And that leaves Aston Martin. You know that Adrian Newey has done the exclusive tour. Lawrence Stroll indeed banishing all of Aston Martin factory employees, telling them to go away, take a coffee break, a 2 to 3 hour one, whilst we show Adrian Newey how serious we are about contending for races and championships. Indeed, Lawrence Stroll has injected 250 million into the factory. They will have themselves a new wind tunnel next year. They have themselves Fernando Alonso, who, by the way, Adrian Newey has expressed desire on more than one occasion that he wants to work with him. That's how much he rates Alonso. Two-time champion 05-06, man who vanquished one Michael Schumacher, the original Reagan-meister. Lawrence Stroll at the livery reveal a couple of years ago, you'll remember, said that when he gets passionate about projects, he wins. It's just that simple. It's black and white for him. Hence why he's now looking to assemble himself a super team of technical minds. Already in that team he has Dan Fallows, who formerly worked with Adrian Newey at the Bulls that are red. Now he has himself Andy Cowell, god tier engineering bud. Indeed, he's pulling no punches, is he, Lawrence Stroll? And I don't hate that. However, the principal contention was this: would Lawrence Stroll and Adrian Newey be able to get along in the same circumstance? Would they be a good fit? Would their working relationship be a good one, a fruitful one? Well, as at today, as at the 10th of the 8th, 2024, something else has happened, because Pedro de la Rosa, who, by the way, is an ambassador for the green team, Aston Martin, he was playing a game of taboo with one Fernando Alonso, man from Oviedo, Astoria. Taboo, what's that? This is where you hold up the pictures and the guy or girl in front of you needs to describe in words who is in that picture. Alonso holds up a picture of Adrian Newey. Again, the picture pointing away from him towards Pedro de la Rosa, whose job it is to describe who is in that picture. Pedro de la Rosa describes Adrian Newey first. I will give you the Spanish first, and then I will translate to the English. Es alguien quien te va a gustar. That's somebody who you will like. And then he stops, pauses, recants, walks back his turn of phrase. Es alguien quien te va a gustaría. It's someone who you would enjoy, who you would like if indeed you worked for. Again, so in the first instance, for clarification, for the avoidance of doubt, he uses the future tense as if Adrian Newey will join Aston Martin. That's somebody who you will like working with, unsaid in brackets. Pedro de la Rosa, ambassador for Aston Martin, then walks it back, corrects himself in real time, fixes for his tenses, and then uses the conditional as alguien quien te gustaría. Gustaría is the conditional tense, who you would like to work with. Instantly, Fernando Alonso goes, Adrian Newey guesses it right straight away. It's the switch in the tense. And again, for the avoidance of doubt, the first time round, Pedro de la Rosa, the ambassador of Aston Martin, uses the future tense. You will like working with him. How can you use the future tense if you don't know Adrian Newey will be there at some point in the future? This is common sense, is it not? There's no way that Pedro de la Rosa, okay, so you might say it's just an innocent Freudian slip, exactly the same as what Eddie Jordan made. But I'm calling bull fivers on that. Oh, stop reaching, Cameron, I hear you say. You're going on with nonsense. This is a massive tangent. And why would Pedro de la Rosa use the future tense unless he knows for a fact that Adrian Newey will, see the future tense is again how I used it, unless you know for a fact that Adrian Newey will be joining Aston Martin at some point in the future. And then, again, lest we need more evidence, the fact that Fernando Alonso instantly says Adrian Newey. He knows on the back of the correction in tenses who Pedro de la Rosa was trying to act out and describe. Oh, the humanity. I'm convinced now, more than I have ever been, that Adrian Newey will join himself Aston Martin, and that potentially as soon as September the 1st we will hear that news. You'll recall that there is gardening leave that needs to be adhered to. Yet and still, Adrian Newey, the goatiest F1 mind, man who created the Leighton House March 881 back in 1988. Lest you forget that dude is still under contract. There is a guarding leave of sorts that he needs to serve out. As at early September, therefore, straight after the summer break, I'm convinced now that my crystal ball is as murky as the next person's. This isn't me saying categorically that this is 100% going to happen. But is this the least likely outcome? Absolutely not. Is this the most likely outcome when we consider Adrian Newey potentially going to McLaren or Ferrari or Aston Martin? I'm telling you now, as at the 10th of the 8th, 2024, that Aston Martin are the pole sitter. You have Pedro de la Rosa now saying that. You have David Coulthard putting it forth to Eddie Jordan, Adrian Newey's manager, as a thesis. He wouldn't want to go to McLaren unless that's just road car, because they've got the best one and Adrian Newey likes himself a challenge. Do tell us, Eddie. When are you going to tell us that Adrian Newey is joining Aston Martin? This is what DC said on the Formula for Success podcast, to which of course Eddie Jordan rebutted, said he's got no news. How do you know that, David Coulthard? I think you're out of whack talking facts when you know nothing, but you would expect Eddie Jordan to say that, right? Especially if they're still in a negotiating period. Lawrence Stroll's told you on a gazillion occasions that he's not messing about. When he gets passionate about something, he wants to win. There are no shades of grey with that. He's looking to assemble himself a super team of technical minds. Dan Fallows is there already, is he not? Andy Cowell is there, or at least will be there soon. And so too, as at the 10th of the 8th, 2024 will one Adrian Newey, the goatiest of F1 aerodynamicists to have ever F1'd. But I digress.